SBC FAQs, a ready reference by Keith Harper and Amy Whitfield. This is the book I'm talking about. I'm Bryan Catherman with SaltyBeliever.com, and if you don't know what SBC means, I'm going to get to that in just a moment. But first I want to share a story. My wife and I had started attending a new church, and they got very excited about this Lottie Moon Christmas offering. And we're thinking, what in the world is a Lottie Moon? Well, the more accurate question is, who was Lottie Moon? And that is one of the questions that this book addresses, because this book is about questions of the SBC, the Southern Baptist Convention. Now, my wife and I, we joined that church. We became members. I eventually became a pastor on staff there. And over time, we partnered with the North American Mission Board, part of the SBC, to plant an SBC church, which I still pastor. I went to an SBC seminary to earn my doctorate degree. And I can honestly say, I think I learned more reading this book than all my experience with all those other things I was involved in, because this book is concise and very, very helpful. Might be a little bit of a niche book. If you're not part of the Southern Baptist Convention, this may or may not be interesting to you, but they do say this is good for denominational newcomers and lifelong Southern Baptists alike. I would agree with that statement. Let's go ahead and break this down. It's called SBC FAQs, a ready reference. It is by Keith Harper and Amy Whitfield. It's published by B&H Academic. It is 187 pages long. But honestly, the real meat and potatoes of this book are from the start to about page 54, because that is where they are dealing with the many questions. They take all these different questions. What is the Southern Baptist Convention? How did the Southern Baptist Convention begin? How does it work? What are messengers, which is kind of a strange word, and you read that and it starts to make a lot more sense. How is it determined that these locally autonomous churches would work together for the sake of advancing the gospel? What's the role of the various officers? What does the convention itself do? When does it exist? How does it work? How does it function? What are the various entities like the International Mission Board, and what is their purpose? The North American Mission Board, Lifeway, Christian Resources. How do these various things work? What's a resolution? Who is Lottie Moon? Who is Annie Armstrong? What's the Baptist faith and message? And then it jumps into this, and there's many more questions, but then it jumps into the second part, which is really an appendix of like the Baptist faith and message, which is the doctrinal statement, history of who the presidents were, various numbers and sizes, and all kinds of various appendices and reference material that, frankly, most people are probably not going to use very much, apart from maybe the Baptist faith and message. There's constitutions and all sorts of things in that latter part of the book. But the first 54 pages is really the helpful part of this book, in my opinion. I thought it was a great book. I thought it was incredibly helpful. It helped me get out of some of the stereotypes that I may have had, helped me get out of some of the caricatures of the SBC, even though I'd already had a lot of experience, and it was still very helpful. I wish I would have had this book when I very first went back to that church and I was wondering who Lottie Moon was. Now, if I had one thing to say about the book that I thought not super thrilled about, the book is listed at $19.99, and so since the best part of the book is in the first 54 pages, I would suggest if you can find it on sale, that's probably the better way to go. But that aside, this is a fantastic book, very helpful. It is a great reference. If you're Southern Baptist or you're just curious about the Southern Baptist, I would say this is probably a good place to start learning more about the Southern Baptist Convention.